joining us right now. He's a former veteran combat pilot. He's the father of 6, and get this, foster father to 46 children.
Wow.
His name is Shak Hill. He wants to be the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate to square off against Mark Warner this fall, and he joins us right now. Shak Hill, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Brian. It's great to be with you.
So, Shak Hill, you get to the U.S. Senate. You become the senator from Virginia. What's your top priority when you get into Capitol Hill?
You know, the top priority is liberty. We're losing our liberty. We're losing our Fourth Amendment rights. We're losing our Second Amendment rights, Fifth Amendment rights. We've got to get back to the Constitution, and the people of Virginia recognize the overreach of government. They recognize how it's hurting us, how it's hurting the small businesses, and we have to pull back the intrusiveness of the government so we can have our liberty back.
Shak, I want to ask you about, Mr. Hill, excuse me, I wanted to ask you something about an ad you just released recently. It's very interesting to me. You know the Democrats are going to run against Republicans on the war on women. I mean, that's the lesson from the McAuliffe campaign against Ken Cuccinelli. Many Democrats believe that was the lesson in Virginia. So you are now claiming that Senator Mark Warner has a war on girls, specifically with regard to gender-selective abortion. Can you describe or explain your position there and what this war on girls means?
Yeah, very unfortunately, Senator Warner has said that he's not going to restrict any type of abortion at any time, and he's going to fight any chip away. And Mark Warner has a war on girls, and it's literally killing them, Larry. He is for sex-selective abortion, and what's worse, or nothing can be worse than that, but what's equally as bad is he wants our taxpayer dollars to pay for it. If we want to get this fictitious war on women off the table, which is what we should be doing so we can talk about liberty issues, talk about the economy, Obamacare, et cetera, we have to fight back and get on the offensive.
Okay, well, hold on. I just want to follow up really quickly on this, if I may. So you just said Mark Warner is for gender-selective abortion. So what you're saying is he is a proponent of women deciding, they find out the gender of their child and say, I don't want to have a girl, I want to have a boy, so they go ahead and have an abortion. What has Mark Warner done to support that?
He is a proponent of allowing all abortion options that are available through the Roe versus Wade decision.
I see.
Including that and including late-term abortion, which, by the way, our current governor told us during the campaign that he was for as well.
Now, this is not just something that you think about. This is something that you've actually had to live, your position, your pro-life position. Talk about what happened in 1992.
Well, my wife was very healthy. She's a 29-year-old mother of one, and then now she's pregnant, and she has pain in her left pelvis. The doctors tell us it's cancer. And they literally came to us and said, Brian, you have to terminate the pregnancy. Well, I do believe in life, and I'm unapologetic about that. So Robin and I discussed it, and she looked over at me and she said, Shak, will you raise the children? And since that time frame, our son is now healthy. He's 21 years old. He's a medic, and he's a volunteer here in Northern Virginia, rides the ambulance. But she's unable to have more children naturally, so we became foster parents. And since 1997, over the next 16 years, 1 or 2 or 3 at a time, we fostered babies, and we fostered 46 children here. Between here and other places we've lived in the military. So
you are also a graduate of the Air Force Academy. You spent some time as a combat pilot, I guess we would say, in Desert Storm, and then you finished your military career as a flight commander for the presidential wing. Did you actually fly Air Force One or other aircraft?
I get asked that question a lot. And the answer is no. I was too junior. I flew the C-21, which is a Lear jet. By the way, we can go to 45,000 feet. I heard your discussion about the Malaysian flight.
Right.
And that's a prestigious assignment. You have to have what they refer to as a by-name request. And I flew during the Clinton era. Of course, that's ERROR, Clinton era. And then I got out of the military as a captain. You see, Robin was a 5-year cancer survivor at that point. So there's some people say I was a colonel, no, a wing commander, no. I was a captain. I was pleased to have served my country, and I'm very concerned what Mark Warner's doing right now with the veterans and the Veteran Administration and their benefits.
Our guest is Shak Hill. He's running for the Republican nomination in the Commonwealth of Virginia for U.S. Senate, and let's turn to that race because you have a formidable formidable opponent, Ed Gillespie. He hasn't held elective office. However, he was the former chairman of the Republican National Committee, and of course, he has a lot of connections in the Commonwealth with a lot of deep pockets. A lot of people say you don't stand a chance. How are you going to go up against Ed Gillespie and his name recognition as well as his fundraising?
Well, Mr. Gillespie has name recognition within the Republican Party, none outside of it, and he does have the ability to fundraise. I actually think that's a negative. He's a 20-plus year lobbyist, inside the Beltway man. I have met him. I've met his family. I've met his wife, and I have no reason to think that he's not a great guy. But like Mitt Romney, who did great things for us, his company, the Olympics, others, he didn't have the chance to get his story out and his message out. And unfortunately, because of Enron, because of Gillespie Care, because of other things that Mr. Gillespie has done, it's going to be very, very distracting. And no matter how good he's been as a lobbyist makes a flawed candidate.
Well, I got to ask you real fast, what's Gillespie Care? I haven't heard that.
Gillespie, whether it's Obamacare, whether it's Warner Care, Gillespie Care, Hillary Care, if you take a look at the website, GillespieCare.com, that's not mine, that's theirs, they're already trashing Mr. Gillespie on his seemingly flip-flopped positions when he was a lobbyist.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so can you make a credible run given the fact that you're running against a guy who has so much money? They say money is the mother's milk of politics. I mean, if you can't come up with the cash, how do you get your message out?
Well, that is the important thing, is getting the message out. Mr. Warner is worth $250 million, but I refuse to believe that the Virginian people are going to accept the fact that he's allowed the intrusion into our liberty and intrusion, of course, through our health care and the government. We've got to work on it. I need to rely on the people to go to shakhill.com. I need them to chip in and be a part of the process as well. And once we win the nomination through the convention process on June 7th, then we have national groups that we're already speaking to that are already waiting to come on board. They're not going to join until after the primary or until after the nomination. And we're also expecting Senator Cruz, Senator Lee, Senator Paul to come in as well.
All right, Shak Hill, really quickly, Shak, because we're out of time, but I wanted to ask you, Mr. Hill, a lot of people are concerned about a third-party run in this race. They think that whoever the Republican nominee is has a good chance against Mark Warner. It's in play now, and it wasn't before. If you don't get the nomination, will you promise not to run as a third party, and you'll support whoever gets the nomination?
Oh, absolutely, and I will not pull a Bill Bowling.
Great. Good to know. Thank you, Shak Hill, candidate for U.S.